I was asked something recently that I thought was a really good question. Is maintenance on a GLP-1 hard? My answer to that is it's not hard, it's just boring. And I don't think that's what people expect. And just so you have some context, I've been on Zepbound for a little over 2 years now, and I've been in maintenance for almost two of those. So I've had a little time to really sit in this part of it. When people think about maintenance, I think they assume it's going to feel like this completely different phase, like something is just going to magically shift once you get there. But in my experience, it really doesn't feel that different. When you're losing weight, there's something happening all the time. Even if it's slow, you're still seeing the scale move, you're noticing changes in your body, and your clothes fit differently. There's always something you can point to and say, okay, this is working. And after a while, that just becomes normal. You check the scale, you notice when things change, and you start to expect it. It becomes a part of the process. Even if you're not obsessed with it, it's still there in the background and it's giving you feedback. When you get into maintenance, that feedback just kind of disappears. You're still doing the same things, but nothing is really moving. And I think this is the part that throws people off the most because nothing is telling you that you're doing it right anymore. You're not seeing anything change. So you're left with, okay, I'm still doing all of this, but how do I know it's still working? I don't think we talk about that part enough. What it feels like to keep doing the same things without anything changing. Because there really is a moment. And if you've been there, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You're just kind of sitting there like, wait, is this it? Because nothing is happening. And that can mess with you a little bit. I honestly think it's because it doesn't feel the way you thought it would. This is where I used to struggle the most. I know that feeling really well because that's exactly how I used to approach it. It was always about getting to a goal as quickly as possible, getting to that magic number, and that was my sole focus. And once I'd get there, I didn't have anything beyond that. I didn't have a plan for what came next. I definitely didn't think about what maintenance would actually look like. So I would go back into my old habits. And of course, the weight came back because I treated the whole process like it had an endpoint, like I could just go back to how things were before. This time for me felt very different because I was intentional. I wasn't looking at this like something that ends. The way that I'm eating now, the way that I'm moving, that's just a part of my normal life. So when I got into maintenance, it didn't feel like I had to switch into something new. It just felt like I had to keep going. And I think that's the difference. If what you're doing feels temporary, maintenance is going to feel hard because you're waiting for it to be over and you're waiting to be done. But if it already feels like you're normal, maintenance doesn't feel like this big shift. It just feels like more of the same. Now, that doesn't mean it's exciting. It's not. There are no big changes or no big wins. It's just you showing up consistently, doing the same thing over and over again. And I know that can feel boring, but there's no way around it. For me, that boring turned into something else. It turned into peace. For a long time, my habits were very extreme. I was either all in or completely off track, and there was no in between. So being in this space now where things are just steady, I'm consistent without having to be perfect, and it actually feels really good. I honestly didn't expect that. I used to think maintenance would feel like some kind of finish line, but it doesn't. It just feels like normal life. And I think that's what throws people off because it doesn't feel like an achievement anymore. It just feels normal. When people say maintenance is hard, I totally get how it can feel that way. Once you realize that it's just a continuation, you stop looking for something to change and it gets a lot easier because you're not questioning it anymore. You're just doing it. And that's what maintenance is. It's not about chasing anything. So if you're in maintenance right now, I'd really love to hear your experience. Does it feel hard or does it just feel normal? Let me know in the comments. If this message resonated with you, hit the like button. And if you haven't already, subscribe so you don't miss the next conversation. And as always, I want you to remember, we can share our journeys, but we should never compare them. Bye.